Humans uttered, "Fine, I'll do it." Every galactic power raised maximum alert. Ships of all shapes and sizes floated just outside the transparent walls, glowing softly with the colors of distant suns. Among all the noise and tension, one human stood quietly at the back. His name was Daniel Carter. He was not young, but not old either. His face had a calmness to it, and his brown eyes reflected the weight of centuries, even though he was only 36. The council had called an emergency meeting. Some of the oldest races in the galaxy were worried. A strange, unknown force from beyond the mapped universe had begun to attack isolated colonies. Entire systems had disappeared, swallowed by what the observers could only describe as something unnatural. No ship that had tried to fight it had returned. No communication had come back from the affected areas. Panic, as far as the council was concerned, was justified. One by one, the representatives argued. Some accused others of withholding information. Others demanded immediate action. The brightest minds in the galaxy, including the Earl, a race of telepathic insect-like beings, and the Eldari, who were known for their centuries of knowledge in interstellar strategy, debated the best ways to respond. Weapons, shields, alliances, and even diplomacy were suggested, but nothing seemed certain. The unknown was too large, its strength unknown, its motive unclear. Daniel did not speak at first. He had listened to these debates countless times before. He had watched species panic, blame each other, and fail to act when action was needed. Humans had been observers for most of the Galactic Council's existence. Earth had sent diplomats, scientists, and small fleets when asked. Humans were respected for their creativity, adaptability, and courage. Yet many of the older races thought humans were reckless, small, and unpredictable. They had underestimated humans for centuries, just as they underestimated the Earthlings' capacity for patience. Finally, a question came that cut through all the noise. The Eldari ambassador, an old being with silver-scaled wings, turned its head toward Daniel. Its eyes glimmered like liquid metal. "And the humans?" it asked. "Will your people act, or will you once again remain observers as the galaxy burns?" He could feel the weight of centuries pressing on him, the expectations of a species that had survived against impossible odds. He thought about the history of humanity, the wars that had scarred the Earth, the plagues, the natural disasters, the constant struggle to survive. Humans had always adapted. Humans had always endured, but humans had also been patient. They had waited until the moment was right. Then he spoke. His voice was calm, almost casual, yet it carried a weight that surprised even him. "Fine, I'll do it." They had helped when asked, yes, but rarely had they taken responsibility for the galaxy's problems on their own. And yet here was Daniel, speaking as if it were the simplest thing in the world. Outside, across the galaxy, alarms began to sound. The human fleets that had been in reserve, scattered in distant systems or orbiting remote planets, powered on. Ships that had not moved in decades glided through space as if waking from a long sleep. Entire installations, once thought ceremonial or outdated, hummed with energy and came alive. Deep space observers, including alien spies and council monitors, recorded everything with a mix of fear and awe. Humanity was acting. Humanity was moving. Humanity had made its choice. Within the human command ship, the Orion, Captain Aaron Blake, stood at the bridge, his eyes scanning the displays. He was in his early 40s, strong and disciplined, with a voice that could calm or command with ease. Next to him, strategist Laura Simmons worked at her console. She was sharp, fast-thinking, and had a reputation for finding solutions where others saw none. Both of them had trained for this moment, although neither had expected it would come so soon. Aaron looked at Laura. "Daniel said it?" he asked quietly. His hand rested on the railing, tense but controlled. Laura nodded. "He did. Fine, I'll do it. That's all it took." Maybe it's time they learned not to underestimate us. He thought about all the times humans had avoided war, choosing diplomacy over conflict, compromise over domination. Humans had patience, but patience had limits. When that limit was reached, they acted. And when they acted, there were no half measures. A warning message arrived on the Orion's main console. It was from the Galactic Council itself. "Human forces mobilizing. Alert all members." "Maximum readiness. Humanity has taken responsibility." The words repeated themselves in dozens of languages, translated automatically by the Council's systems. Across the galaxy, species reacted with confusion, fear, or disbelief. Humans had always been capable, yes, but no one expected them to move so decisively. In a quiet corner of the Orion, historian Kevin Moore recorded a log. He was an older man with thinning gray hair and glasses perched on his nose. He spoke into the recorder slowly, deliberately. Today, humanity has declared itself a participant, not an observer. For centuries, humans have waited, watched, and measured. Today, they act. And the galaxy will not be the same. Like everything else humans touch. When they spoke the words, "Fine, I'll do it," it was not a boast. It was a declaration of responsibility. The galaxy could panic, prepare, or retreat. Humans would act anyway. Across the council chambers, debates continued, but they now had a new urgency. The ancient earls scribbled on glowing tablets, translating the human phrase into their telepathic language. Eldari scholars rewrote their predictions. Galactic fleets moved cautiously, unsure if humans would cooperate with them or simply act on their own terms. Every species felt the change. Every system understood that humans had decided to take the first real step in protecting the galaxy. Even the unknown invaders, far beyond the mapped stars, felt it. They did not see humans approaching, but the subtle shift of energy across space reached them. The humans were moving. They were no longer passive. They had chosen to intervene. Their fleets and technology, once dormant, now stirred. Every weapon, every ship, every station that humanity had quietly prepared for centuries was ready, and the invaders did not yet know what this meant. Back on the Orion, Daniel Carter finally turned from the observation window. He walked toward the bridge, his steps measured but purposeful. Captain Aaron Blake noticed him entering and straightened. "Daniel," he said, "are we really ready for this? We just never needed to act until now." Earth itself sent signals to every human installation, every research station, and every fleet. Humanity was moving as one, not in chaos, but with purpose. As the first human vessels passed beyond known systems, alien observers whispered among themselves. Some species had underestimated humanity for millennia. Others had dismissed them as too small, too primitive, too chaotic. But now there was no doubt. Humans were not to be ignored, not now, not ever. Daniel Carter looked at the stars one last time before taking his seat on the bridge. The words repeated in his mind. "Fine, I'll do it." Simple, casual, deadly serious. It was more than a statement. It was a promise. And the galaxy was about to discover what humanity could really do when it made that promise. The stars were still quiet, but soon the quiet would be filled with movement, strategy, and the unmistakable mark of human action. Every race in the council would feel it. Every ship, every fleet, every system would notice it. Humans had uttered their decision, and now the galaxy held its breath. The humans did not waste time. Within hours of Daniel Carter's words, human fleets were already moving through the uncharted regions of space. Ships that had long been in reserve glided silently past stars that had not seen human activity in decades. Each vessel moved as if it had known this moment would come for centuries. Captain Aaron Blake stood on the bridge of the Orion, watching the glowing dots of distant ships appear on the map. Laura Simmons was at her console, running calculations, predicting the movements of the enemy force. Neither spoke much. Words were unnecessary. Humans acted first and explained later if needed. The first encounter with the unknown force happened sooner than anyone expected. A scout vessel, the Horizon, commanded by Lieutenant Kevin Miller, detected an enormous fleet of dark, alien ships moving in a pattern that suggested both intelligence and coordination. The aliens were massive, their hulls black and smooth, reflecting nothing of the starlight around them. Miller's voice came over the Orion's comms. "Captain Blake, they're larger than anything we've seen before. I estimate over 300 vessels, all moving toward the Rosma system. They don't seem to be stopping. We've prepared contingency plans for situations like this. The humans didn't just wait for orders. They've been ready for decades. This isn't improvisation. This is strategy. They do not understand patience. They do not understand preparation." The aliens expected humans to react with fear, but fear was something humans rarely showed. Lieutenant Miller's Horizon took the first defensive action, sending out small energy pulses designed to test the enemy's strength. The alien ships responded with a barrage of dark beams, but the pulses had already mapped their defensive structures. Miller reported back, "They are strong, but they are predictable. We know their weak points now." Humans had trained for this moment for centuries. Every movement, every pulse, every calculation had been prepared long before the aliens arrived. Meanwhile, in distant colonies, humans were waking up entire systems. Old research stations, some abandoned for decades, were suddenly alive with energy. Scientists like Natalie Brooks on Mars worked to activate defensive systems that had long been thought ceremonial. "It's amazing," she said to her assistant, Luke. "These stations were built for defense, but no one has touched them in years. Now they are waking up just in time." Humans always prepare, even when no one else sees the need. Then larger ships attacked supply lines, disabling fuel systems and engines without unnecessary destruction. Each attack seemed measured, as if the humans understood exactly how far they could push before risking failure. Daniel Carter observed everything from the Orion's deck. He knew other species were watching him, trying to understand how humans could act with such calm efficiency. "They always expect chaos," he said softly. "They never expect order, patience, and determination combined." Alien vessels were destroyed not in massive battles, but one by one, efficiently and decisively. Observers from other species could not believe what they were seeing. On the Orion, Laura Simmons smiled slightly. "They trained for this, not for show, not for glory. They trained for survival, for efficiency, for victory without unnecessary waste. Target their command vessels next. Make them understand that humans do not fight for cruelty. We fight to end the conflict. The moment humans act is the moment the galaxy will change." Every observer realized the truth. Humans were not reckless, but they were unstoppable when they decided to act. Across the Orion's command deck, the crew worked tirelessly. Engineers adjusted weapon systems in real time, ensuring maximum efficiency. Navigators calculated the best possible trajectories, avoiding unnecessary risk. Every human on the bridge knew their role and performed it flawlessly. There was no chaos, no hesitation, no fear, just action. Outside, the alien fleet began to retreat. The humans had outmaneuvered them at every turn. Their attacks were not brutal for the sake of destruction, but methodical, precise, and unavoidable. By the time the alien command ship realized what was happening, half its fleet was already gone. The humans had learned their weaknesses and struck exactly where they could be most effective. Kevin Moore, the historian, recorded every moment. "This is history," he said. "Humans do not fight like other species. They do not panic. They do not make mistakes. When they decide to act, they act with patience and purpose. And now the galaxy is watching a new type of power at work. Now we act and we do not fail. That is what they will never understand." Instead, they had witnessed something extraordinary, humans acting decisively, efficiently, and without panic. Daniel Carter addressed the council remotely, his voice calm but firm. "The immediate threat has been neutralized. The humans have acted to prevent further loss. We will continue monitoring and protecting the galaxy as needed. Understand that humans are not reckless. We act when it is necessary. This is not war, this is responsibility." Other species had never seen a race act with such deliberate purpose, combining strategy, patience, and action in a way that made every other power seem uncertain and reactive. On Earth, celebrations were quiet. Humans did not boast. They did not seek recognition. The crew of the Orion and others across human fleets simply prepared for the next move. There would be no rest until every system was safe. Every human knew the responsibility that came with acting first. In private, Daniel Carter spoke to Aaron Blake and Laura Simmons. "They will be watching now," he said. "All the species, all the aliens, they will measure us by this moment. They will learn one thing: humans do not act recklessly, but when we act, we finish the task." Always. Every human ship, station, and installation responded with precision. They did not act for glory, nor for revenge. They acted for survival, for protection, and because they had said the words "and now must follow through," "Fine, I'll do it." Kevin Moore, recording the events, spoke into his log one final time that day. "The galaxy has seen humans act not out of fear, not out of pride, but out of responsibility. They are unpredictable in one sense, but in another, they are the most reliable force ever known. They wait, they watch, they prepare, and when they decide to act, they do so with perfection." The phrase, "Fine, I'll do it," will echo across the stars forever. Today, humanity has shown why the galaxy should never underestimate them again. And yet in every human heart there was calm. No celebration, no arrogance, just preparation for what might come next. The galaxy was changing. Every system that had once doubted humanity now watched with caution and awe. The alien force that humans had first encountered was no longer merely a threat. It had become a measure of human skill, patience, and determination. Across the Orion, Captain Aaron Blake and his crew prepared for the next phase. They knew that simply repelling the enemy was not enough. Humans did not stop at small victories. They aimed to secure the galaxy for the long term, to prevent future attacks before they began. Daniel Carter stood at the observation deck again, looking at the vast expanse of stars. "They think retreat is safety," he said quietly. "They do not see that humans do not chase for glory. Humans strike for purpose. When the task is done, the galaxy is safer, not weaker. They do not understand patience." Scouts measured enemy activity, engineers calculated energy patterns, and navigators charted the safest and most effective paths. Humans acted in a way no other species could, combining intelligence, patience, and decisive action in real time. On the bridge of the Orion, a message arrived from Lieutenant Kevin Miller aboard the Horizon. "Captain Blake, we have scanned further into the alien network. Their fleet is reorganizing, but we have identified weak points. Their engines cannot sustain full power for long. Their shields regenerate slowly after attacks. They are not invincible. We can control the engagement. Every attack must hit exactly where it matters." Humans had studied them, anticipated their moves, and adapted faster than the aliens could react. On Mars, Dr. Natalie Brooks and her team activated another long-abandoned station. "These systems were built for defense centuries ago," she said, watching the station hum to life. "No one thought we would need them now, but humans always prepare." "It's amazing. Every system, every ship, every station is moving as one. Humans never fight like other species." But humans are not moved by fear or anger. Humans are moved by responsibility. When humans decide to act, it is measured, precise, and unstoppable. Energy fields shifted to block escape routes, gravitational distortions slowed enemy movement, and human drones disabled critical systems without direct combat. The aliens had never encountered such efficiency. Every tactic they tried failed. Every counterattack was met with a calculated response. Laura Simmons watched her console, analyzing hundreds of calculations simultaneously. "They are learning, but too slowly," she said. "Humans have prepared for decades. Their plans are stronger than anything the aliens can imagine. They did not expect precision, patience, and foresight. That is what makes us feared." Meanwhile, the alien fleet tried a desperate maneuver. A massive wave of ships attempted to overwhelm a small human outpost near the edge of the system. But the humans were ready. Captain Aaron Blake had anticipated this move. Human cruisers moved into position before the aliens could strike. Energy shields protected vulnerable stations, and drones intercepted the attackers. Within moments, the alien ships were scattered, their engines damaged, their weapons offline. Daniel Carter observed this calmly. "They think they can surprise us," he said softly. "They cannot. Humans anticipate, humans calculate, humans act when necessary." Humans had not just learned to fight, they had learned to dominate space without chaos. Every strike was precise, every defense was perfect. No other species could match this efficiency. Kevin Moore, the historian, recorded the events. "Humans do not fight like other species, they do not seek glory, they do not act on emotion, they act on purpose." And now, the galaxy is seeing humans as a force unlike any other. "We control the engagement now." Every strike weakened the enemy without unnecessary loss of life. Lieutenant Miller reported, "Captain, the enemy is attempting to regroup. Their leaders are confused. They are trying to communicate, but our drones are intercepting everything. They have no control now. Neutralize them without unnecessary risk. But when we act, we finish the task." On Mars, Natalie Brooks and Luke continued to monitor the human-controlled stations. "It's incredible," Natalie said. "Every system, every fleet, every station is working together. Humans don't just fight. Humans organize, plan, and act as one. It's why they will never be underestimated again. They will learn that when humans decide to act, the galaxy itself changes. They act with purpose, with patience, and with strategy. They wait, they watch, and when the time comes, they act in a way that no other species can match." The phrase, "Fine, I'll do it," is no longer just words. It is a warning, a lesson, and a promise. Humans will act when necessary, and the galaxy must be ready. And every species that watched knew the truth. Humans were not merely survivors. Humans were guardians, and they would act when others could not. The stars above were quiet, but the galaxy had changed. Every alien species, every council, every fleet knew that humans had proven themselves. They had acted decisively, with patience, strategy, and intelligence. And the memory of that action, the power of that decision, would echo across the stars forever. The galaxy was quiet, but it was a quiet that carried weight. Every species, every council, every fleet had watched what humans had done, and every one of them had changed their opinion. Humans were no longer the species to be underestimated. They were not reckless, but they were unstoppable when they decided to act. Captain Aaron Blake stood on the bridge of the Orion looking at the slowly retreating alien forces. The unknown enemy had been scattered, their command destroyed, their fleets disabled, and their systems neutralized. Yet Aaron did not smile. Humans did not celebrate like other species. They acted, they completed the task, and then they prepared for what might come next. Laura Simmons was at her console monitoring the alien retreat. "They won't return immediately," she said. "Their systems are damaged, their fleets are scattered. If they come back, they will have to rebuild first. We prepare, we plan, and we act when necessary. That's why humans survive. And that is a good thing. They need to respect us. They need to understand that humans do not act recklessly, but when we act, we finish the task." Stations that had been idle for decades hummed back to life. Every action was precise, every movement measured. Humans did not rush, but nothing was left undone. On Earth, Dr. Natalie Brooks and her team continued to monitor human-controlled stations across distant systems. "They are incredible," she said to her assistant, Luke. "Every system, every fleet, every station is working as one. Humans do not just fight, humans protect, and they do it efficiently. They have proven that acting at the right time with careful preparation is more powerful than any uncontrolled attack. The galaxy has learned a lesson today. Humans are guardians, and they will act when others cannot." Every attempt to regroup was met with calculated resistance. Humans did not seek to destroy the enemy completely. They sought to neutralize the threat and prevent further harm. Every action was deliberate, every strike controlled. Daniel Carter observed this quietly. "They do not understand," he said softly. "Other species think that power comes from aggression. They do not see that true power comes from patience, intelligence, and responsibility. Humans have all three. That is why humans are respected. They neutralized what was dangerous, repaired or repurposed what could be useful, and left untouched what was harmless. Their actions reflected a rare intelligence, one that valued survival and protection over chaos or revenge." Lieutenant Kevin Miller reported from the horizon. "Captain Blake, we've disabled the last major fleet in this sector. The enemy has no ability to threaten these systems again. Their command is gone. Their coordination is gone. We are in full control. We have finished the necessary task. We have protected the systems that could not protect themselves, and we have shown the galaxy what patience, preparation, and purpose can achieve. Let every species understand. Humans act responsibly, decisively, and without error when the situation demands it." Humans did not boast, but they allowed themselves small moments of satisfaction. They had done what no other species could do. They had acted not recklessly, not emotionally, but with purpose and precision. Natalie Brooks spoke to her team. "We did it. Humans acted and the galaxy is safer. That's all that matters. And every species out there now knows not to underestimate us." They did not act impulsively, but when they acted, the consequences were final, precise, and unavoidable. Kevin Moore recorded the Council's reaction. "The galaxy has learned a simple truth. Humans are not reckless. Humans are not weak. Humans are patient, strategic, and responsible. When humans decide to act, they do so in a way that no other species can match." The phrase, "Fine, I'll do it," has become a warning, a lesson, and a promise. Aaron Blake addressed the Orion's crew one final time. "We have done what was necessary. The galaxy will remember today. Other species will respect, maybe fear, but they will understand humans. We act with purpose, patience, and precision. That is our strength. That is why humanity survives. But when the moment comes, the galaxy will see what we are capable of." They would need years to rebuild, and even then, humans would remain vigilant. The galaxy had been stabilized not through brute force, but through strategy, patience, and calculated action. Humans had acted as guardians, not conquerors. Kevin Moore spoke into his final log of the campaign. "The galaxy has changed. Every species has learned a new lesson. Humans are not reckless. Humans are not simple. Humans are patient, intelligent, and responsible. They wait, they observe, and when the time comes, they act decisively and completely." The phrase, "Fine, I'll do it," will echo across the stars forever. It is no longer just words. It is a measure of power, of responsibility, and of humanity itself. The stars were quiet, but the galaxy was not. Every species had seen what humans could do. Every fleet, every council, every alien observer had witnessed humans acting with purpose and intelligence. Humans had changed the galaxy, not with chaos or aggression, but with patience, strategy, and responsibility. Aaron Blake spoke softly. We have done what no one else could. We have acted when necessary. We have protected the galaxy, and we will continue to do so because humans do not abandon their responsibilities. Always. Humans were strategic. Humans were responsible. And when humans said, "Fine, I'll do it," it was more than words. It was a promise, a warning, and a reminder that some species, when they chose to act, could change the galaxy forever. The stars were quiet once more, but they now carried a story of humans, a story of patience, preparation, and decisive action that would be remembered for centuries. Humanity had spoken, humanity had acted, and every species across the galaxy would never underestimate them again.